I had my first panic attack when I was 5 years old, and it was over one word. As a kid, my family and we used to go to church on Sundays, and there was this one word, eternity. And eternity is the idea of living forever. And it's meant to be something that gives you this real sort of peace and this hope in a life after death. But for me as a 5-year-old, I don't know why, but I can still remember laying in bed and absolutely being freaked out by the idea. And it was this thought that you would live forever and ever and ever and ever and ever, and there would never be some point where there was actually just an end. It would just keep going. And for some reason, that just really, really scared me. And I didn't really know what to do with it, because I knew it was an idea that was meant to bring me hope. So I didn't know if there was something that was wrong with me or what was going on. And I didn't experience any more panic attacks for a long time after that. Well, at least not that I can remember. And so it's not now, until looking back, that I can even recognise that that's what it was. At the time, I just knew that it scared the freaking hell out of me and didn't really know what to do with it, apart from wanting to just disintegrate into the night. It wasn't probably until I was 17 that I would have had my next one. Now, I was always sort of an anxious kind of kid, but or a very anxious kid, but not necessarily with the actual panic attack. And so when I was 17, I had my first girlfriend, and that was a pretty exciting sort of time. And I probably wasn't until 6 months into the relationship that I would have had sort of this experience again. And I didn't know what it was. I didn't know if it was because I was jealous. I didn't know if it was because the relationship wasn't right. But there was these moments where I would just become so tense and locked up that you couldn't breathe, and you'd just be almost shaking on the spot. And it's a terrifying feeling. Now, the issue was that it wasn't just those moments and then it would disappear. There's those moments, and then there'd be this underlying feeling that was just on the edge of that panic. So you'd feel like you would just, at any moment, you could sort of go over into that full-on panic. And that's just how I was living. So that was quite sort of a scary kind of time. And then I broke up with the girlfriend sort of thinking that that was the problem. And of course that didn't fix anything, like it still was there. And that's when I really noticed that it seeped into cycling as well. You know, it seeped into everything, into every area. And so cycling was this thing that I'd always loved since I was a kid and what I wanted to do. And then all of a sudden I was in a spot where even looking at a bike was then enough to give me a panic attack. Like there was a few times where I got on my bike and tried to sort of, after leaving the sport, tried to come back and go for a ride, and could literally get 5 meters out the door before everything, just this panic just overcame me, and I had to just pull over to the side of the road and just wait it out before I could then just get back home. So the strange thing here is that all three of those things are like the areas where you really want some hope and peace in your life. Like the idea of, you know, a hope of life after death, like that's something that's meant to give people a real sort of peace. The idea of having a relationship, you know, having someone that you feel connected to, that you feel safe with, like that you can love, like that's something that people would define as something that's really important to life. And then also having like a dream or something to pursue, like that's also another area that people, you know, these are sort of pivotal areas in life which almost for a lot of people are what make life worth living. And here I am saying that those areas are the ones that have freaked the absolute hell out of me. Now, you can probably understand how that then can make you feel really freaking lost, because none of these things that are meant to provide life are providing it. Instead, they're providing extra panic. And it took me a long time to realise that it wasn't those individual things that were doing it, but that was something that, you know, was underlying in me. This is a mental illness that I had that is just across the board would leave me really battling. So the thing has been to try and learn to manage that better. Now, I don't come back to riding because I love it, although there are times where I do, but the reason I do it is to try and learn to manage that better and better, because the dream itself, it's not there. It's not something that can sustain me. It's not something that gives me drive. So the drive has to become learning to manage better, and that's in itself has got enough to give me a purpose to keep on living, essentially. Is there seems to be enough of a challenge in saying, all right, let's see how much better I can manage today rather than yesterday, and that is enough. Now, it's a weird thing, and it's something that there's other people out there that understand, but it's trying to get across that message to all of us that life is not always giving us exactly what we hope for. And even if you don't have a mental illness, there's still huge benefit from learning to understand yourself better and understand your mental health better. And I think that's the key message here, is that for everyone, even if you don't struggle with a mental illness, learning to manage your mental health better and learning to understand that life doesn't always provide what you would hope it to provide, and that sometimes we need to find purpose in the challenge of just continuing to exist, is a message that hopefully for people is hopefully powerful.